Yo, what's up guys? How is everyone doing? I wanted to make a video about the Guilty Gear anime. I recently finished it. This is actually a video I've been planning to make for a very long time. When I figured out it was going to be 8 episodes, I was like, okay, bet. So it's going to end on this week, and then I'm going to make a video on it and get it out sometime soon. It's probably going to be after Unica's release, but we'll see. Maybe I can get it out really quick. Dude, I don't know. I have so many thoughts. So realistically, when they announced the anime itself, it was kind of obvious where it was going, right? So it was obvious, like, based off the trailers and like the information we had, seeing the characters, we knew like Nerville was gonna be like the villain, right? And we knew it was gonna be like Unica and Sin, and obviously like it was pretty obvious Unica is like, was gonna be like a gear, right? I mean, based off the trailers we saw, she was like summoning like demons and burning red and red eyes, like, it was obvious that she was connected to Sin in some way. So basically, it's a fighting game anime, so you can't get your like the animation isn't going to be crazy all the time. Funny enough, I went to Arc World Tour and they played the first episode. I left a little before, unfortunately, but based off what I heard, it was, oh yeah, it's like a slideshow, like don't get your hopes up, it's alright. Or it's trash. So I knew the direction where it was going. So when I got my hands on it and I watched it myself, I was like, okay, yeah, I see what everyone's saying. It's not like the prettiest, perfect thing, but, it's mainly there for the story and to introduce the hype for Unica, who's obviously coming out on the 27th. So, it starts and, you see Sin and Soul, and, first off, let me just say, I think, again, I really like the direction they went of, first off, it's after the Guilty Gear Strive story. I think it said, like, a couple weeks or so after, like, the Guilty Gear Strive story mode ends, right? So that was cool. Soul having short hair, meaning he's not a gear anymore. So I think that's cool. Focusing on Sin being the main character, I think is really cool. Going a whole new direction. Some of the characters I like, okay, and I'll bring her up again. I don't understand why Bridget is in the show. Why is Bridget in the show? Listen, I know she's made a lot of money for Arxis, but like, she serves no purpose in the show. Like, I see Biken, I see Johnny, I really like Johnny. I think Johnny had some cool scenes. Johnny was more shown than it felt like everyone else besides Kai and Sin and like Unica. Like, it was actually pretty crazy how much she was in there. But again, Bridget and Johnny are like the two, when you think of Strive, definitely like, Johnny is Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear is, it's Johnny. And obviously Bridget has had a huge impact on the like Guilty Gear scene, so for a lot of different people. So it makes sense why she would be in there. But anyways, I just don't understand why she serves no purpose. She doesn't do anything. She's just a regular fellow. Like, it just, So yeah, it starts and based off the trailers we've seen, we saw like Unica going and attacking Dizzy and Sin screaming and whatnot. What was really funny was the trailers actually showed, like, it was so weird. So, in the trailers, we saw, like, the scene where they're fighting, like, almost like the Naruto and Sasuke, where, when they final, like, they're both standing on, like, statues. Like, they were both standing on, like, these individual, both standing on their own buildings and having, like, a stare down. And that was, like, the final scene in, like, the trailer, right? And usually, like, something like that is more focused towards the end of the show, But, dude, that happened on, like, episode 3. Like, they only showed the trailers, they showed no footage from anything beyond episode 3. So what I thought was going to be the end of the show, like the final showdown between Unica and Sin, happened on episode 3, where I thought it was going to be like later on. So, it's kind of progressed pretty fast, but it makes sense because they only had 8 episodes to do it. Story starts, Kai, Dizzy getting married. Johnny's there in his same old suit, didn't bother changing, and, Unica crashes the wedding and, just overpowered as hell, beating up everyone, folding everyone, attacks Kai and Dizzy, makes them, like, freeze in, like, an iceberg to protect themselves. I don't even know. And then, that happens and Kai is like, Sin is just like, dang, bro, I need to get stronger. He's talking to Soul, like, yo, I need to get stronger. Like, I need to go talk to Unica. She just busted at the party and said, like, she hates gears, screaming, I hate gears. I need to kill all the gears, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And Nerville was there, too, and he was basically saying, like, man, he was just hating, he was just sitting on the side hating, like, oh, man, this is wrong. Like, you guys shouldn't be doing this. Like, this is wrong, So, then you go forward and We see Yunika and Sin, they have like their first showdown, they fight. Looked really nice. I think it was the best animated part of the show. Like episode 2, or maybe it was episode 3. It was like episode 2, I'm pretty sure. Best animated part of the show. Like nothing else looked that pretty throughout the entire 8 episodes. You know, Yunika is just like kind of beating the shit out of Sin, no lie. They were like going even at first, and then bro just started like whooping bro. Yeah, I mean, Yunika has like wings and she summons monsters. She has a, you know, fire, a gun, whatever. Then episode 3, Sin and Yunika. Sin, okay, like, you know, he's still going on his talking to Soul, like, yo, I need to talk to her. You know, after getting his ass whooped, it wasn't enough. He still wants to go talk to her. You know, he gets in the little motorcycle with Soul and they go and find Yunika, right? And, you know, they find her and then she's like on top of a building and then it's like the whole Naruto versus Sasuke scene or whatever. And, you know, they don't really like fight. It's more Sin just getting beat up. And then Sin gets like shot and they both get shot and then Soul like turns into a sniper. I don't even know, bro. Like Soul starts shooting and basically Sin like commands a gear to like help save them. So like he's like the new like king of gears or whatever. Like he's like can control all the gears or whatever, right? Just by the way, gear monsters just laying around the city, just dead. Just by the way, just, you know, no one dare touch them. They just live like that. I don't know how, but you know. And then Yunika slips away and then meets Bridget. And you know, the next episode is just Yunika and Bridget. They're just talking and, you know, Bridget's just telling him, bro, like, yo, you gotta go find your true shape. You gotta be yourself, you know, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know. I don't know why Bridget is there. Why is Bridget in a war zone? Like, make it make sense, bro. Like, it makes no sense. Anyways, they talk, and then after that, oh geez, they just, what episode was that? Maybe that was episode like 4 or 5 or something, right? You know, it then goes to like how Nerville is like, who was just like a regular dude and like a scientist or whatever, and like he survived the Crusades, he hates all of them, and he like, one day like Yunika came from the future and told him what was gonna happen, and then just like, so Yunika is from the future, like essentially, right? We kind of figured that out early on. I believe it was like episode like 2 or 1. I think she said like she's seen the future or something like that, right? And you know, it like fast forward like Sin and Soul, they end up like attacking the whole like place where Nerville and Yunika are, and Unika's like shaking a bit because she's like questioning what side she really wants to be on and whatnot. And you know, Nerville calls Yunika like her daughter or his daughter, and you know, it's just a lot of yapping. And then long story short, we've seen like Nerville has talked to like his future self and has given him like the instructions on like what to do and whatnot, right? And so he's basically just following like his future Nerville's like plans or whatever, right? So, you know, he goes on and he shoots, you know, he like infected Sin with this virus when they like shook hands in like episode like 2 or like 3 or something. And it's like deciding to kick in now for whatever reason. And it's basically like he's now commanding all the gears to die. But oh wait, we find out that Yunika is actually Dizzy's daughter from the future. We don't know. Apparently, Nerville says that Yunika never knew her parents, and that it's just his daughter, never knew her real parents. But apparently, in a future, Kai and Dizzy died, and yeah, I guess instead of Sin, they had a daughter, and that was Yunika. So yeah, you get the point. Yunika is like, since she's a gear, she's like dying because Sin commanded all the gears to die. But then Yunika also gives a command to all the gears saying, no, live. So it's like two forces going against each other. And then it causes all gears to just start going rogue, essentially. And then Nerville's like, what? Dude, this wasn't supposed to happen. You guys were all supposed to die. Where's my future self? He's the one that gave me the plans. Bro appears out of nowhere and then like kills his present self and was like, yeah, actually, I set this up. I want everyone to just kill each other, and whoever lives gets to like live in my new world where only the strongest live. It's typical, you know, villain, right? Like, you know, it's the most recent game I played, like Metaphor, like Luis essentially says the same thing. Like, yeah, I'm gonna give everyone trauma, and whoever can outlive the trauma, like, can live in the new world, and like we're gonna be strong. And it's like, Sure, dude, you know, typical villain storyline, right? Yeah, that's, you know, they start fighting for a bit, and then Sin gets shot with like this contingency plan from Soul that, you know, shuts them down basically and gets rid of the virus. And then, yeah, they fight a little, and then Nerville turns into a Poppy Playtime looking villain and is made out of like Play-Doh and sounds like a squeaker. And then just, I don't know, dude. I'm just as confused, bro. So he turns into Poppy Playtime, and he then like reveals that he's like immortal, and he used Axel to jump between timelines, and he has Axel like locked up somewhere because he like drugged him when he met him. I don't even know, bro. He somehow drugged Axel or something like that by slipping something in his drink. I don't know. But then he look up and it's like a million trillion Nervilles, and it's like raining from the heavens, and essentially it's like trying to say like he's like a god or something like that. Like apparently he's like gonna become the world or something like that. So they like retreat or whatever, and then like episode 7, you know, you have Bridget. Bridget like is like, oh, I want to help. So Bridget goes out on the battlefield, gets rocked by like only one of the dudes. Like that's how weak Bridget is. Gets rocked by like just one of the like little dudes. Gets rocked. Rushed to the ER. Like Unica screaming. Unica goes up and flies up to fight all the Nervilles and like creates some space or whatever, and then gets captured and was like inside and like chilling somewhere inside the big Nerville monster floating in the sky or whatever. They go to rescue her, blah blah blah. They, you know, Sin does something. He like shoots Nerville with this like gun, like to get rid of him or whatever. They vanish. Nerville's dead. Blah blah blah. Everyone's okay. Kai and Soul get to finish their wedding, and Soul's revealed to be a dad of Dizzy. Like, yeah, and then after that, like, you know, Unica's just sad because she's like, oh dang, I feel like I let everyone down and I need to do better. I want to do better, etc. So, you know, I'm gonna like go on a mission or something, or journey, and like find my true shape and redeem myself. And then it ends. So many unanswered questions. Like what? Like I don't know. The story was pretty like all over the place. It kind of like didn't really make a lot of sense. And then it just ends like that. Like, you know, I'm not gonna spoil it because the character isn't out yet, but we've all seen the leaks for Unica on Twitter, and we didn't see any of the stuff that she does in game in the anime. So what I'm thinking is the arcade mode for Unica and Strive is gonna give us a lot more information about what actually happens and what's going on, and like, we're just gonna have to wait for that because the anime just clearly didn't give us that, you know. Unica is also one of those things, you know, like in shows when like, you know, the overpowered bad guy jumps to the side of the good guys, like the bad guy just rocks everyone, like it's just 10 times stronger than everyone, and then out of nowhere they just like they join the other side, they get so nerfed. That's what Unica was, dude. She was literally like running the verse of Guilty Gear at the time, and then like, you know, she swaps sides and she's just captured, like doesn't do anything, like useless, literally just useless. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, overall it was fine. I wanted it to be a little better. I wanted to see the different characters, like Axel, for example. I don't think he was one of the characters that the, you know, the people said would be in the show, but it was in the show anyways, right? We saw a little bit of Testament. They didn't say any words, but we saw a little bit of Testament. You know, we saw some pictures of Happy Chaos and Eno. We saw Asuka on the moon. So, you know, I wish like we got some more characters. Like, how cool would it have been if like Happy Chaos would have stepped in or something, right? Or like something, you know, like, I don't know, just something. Nerville was not a good villain. I don't like bro at all. He doesn't look cool, bro. Like, he's lame as hell. But yeah, that's it. I'm curious if you've watched any of the episodes or if you finished the show. I'm curious to hear your opinion on it. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe you guys think it's the best show ever made. I don't know. I want to hear everything that you guys think. But yeah, that's my little opinion on it. Overall, out of 10. Compared to every anime I've watched, I'll give it like a 3, bro. It was whatever. But realistically, it's probably like a 4 or 5. It was whatever. Like, it's just, whatever. I don't know. Unica coming out very, 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 very soon, though. And so I will make sure to get a lot of videos out on her. They'll probably already be up by the time this video is up. So yeah, until next time, thank you guys for 2K subs. Love you guys. And yeah, until next time, thank you.